Hello everybody, this is Havoc. Welcome to the Vampire Counts unit roster. A couple of days behind schedule, but we will get right on into it. First off, I want to show you some of the playstyle tips they've given us. For the first one, embrace your corruption. Certain Vampire Count heroes and buildings generate vampiric corruption within the campaign map provinces. Traveling through uncorrupted terrain causes attrition, and for this reason it's wise to send Vampire Count heroes ahead to spread corruption. I'm going to read the rest of that part. So basically it's almost kind of a Zerg-esque type of thing within StarCraft, in which case you're not going to want to send your units just headlong into uncorrupted territory. You're going to want to use your heroes, you're going to want to use your buildings to generate vampiric corruption, which will corrupt the land, therefore avoiding that kind of attrition loss. It's similar to the snow attrition or the desert attrition within Attila. Vampire Counts field no ranged weapons at all. That was in the live stream. The only sort of ranged, I wouldn't even call them ranged, you have flying beasts, you have really fast cav, you have the dire wolves which can act quickly, and then you just have solid infantry. I mean, that's basically their mainstay, is with the infantry, with the skeletal warriors and the zombies, etc., etc. So you're going to have to figure out ways to take out the enemy. You're going to have to learn how to flank differently, because you're just not going to have that range support at all. Even death may die. One of the Vampire Count's greatest military strengths is their ability to raise the dead. Useful in battle as your necromancers can bring extra units of zombies and skeletons into play, which we saw in the live stream, but it's also a way to instantly recruit full units into your army on the campaign map wherever you are in the world. This is another interesting feature. It's almost as it's similar to the hordes in Total War Attila. I don't know if you have to be encamped in order to replenish and or recruit units, but you're gonna be able to recruit units anywhere in the map, which is kind of similar to how the greenskins are as well. So it'll bring an interesting little concept into how you play it. So we're gonna jump right into the unit roster. And we're going to start with the legendary lords. Manfred von Karstein obviously is a caster and a melee. He is a dual caster, which means he has the lore of vampires as well as the lore of death. And then you have Heinrich Kimmler, who is just a caster with the lore of vampires. He is essentially going to be your master necromancer, which is in the next thing under the lords. He's going to be your master necromancer. He's going to be a caster with the lore of vampires, like I just said. And then you're going to have lords. You're going to have a vampire lord who is a melee and caster with the lore of vampires. Manfred is unique in that he has both the lore of vampires and the lore of death. More of that in a previous video, an overview for those guys. The heroes we have a Banshee. Banshee was in the in-game or in-engine cinematic trailer. It was that creepy little woman creature. Not really, they don't give any ideas on their abilities, so we're not going to go into it. You have your Necromancer caster, which is similar to sort of the Master Necromancer with the lore of vampires. And then you have your basic vampire hero, who is a melee caster as well with the lore of death. That is interesting because the hero vampire only has the lore of death, whereas the Lord vampire lord has the lore of vampires. And then you have your White King, which is essentially kings from old tribes that have been resurrected in their full armor with their weapons, glory, honor, all that stuff. They now serve the necromancers. Going on into mounts, it will be interesting to see how mounts are used in the game. I imagine you'll start out with a basic mount, whether that is the zombie dragon or whether it's the skeletal steed, and the quests that will come with upgrading them. So you have your zombie dragon, which I think looks absolutely epic. It'd be very exciting to see him in battle. You have your skeletal steed as well as your barded skeletal steed. Both of these are just obviously skeletal steeds. You have your hell steed, your nightmare, which looks pretty wicked, and then your barded nightmare. These mounts are obviously going to look very undead. They're going to be adorned, hopefully, with a lot of skeletal things, and it'll be really cool to see them being used in battle. I would imagine as Manfred and or as Kimmler, you can mount up within a battle at all times, or you can choose not to. It'd be really cool to see if you can choose not to use a mount, because there could be benefits with that. We're going to dive right on into melee infantry. You have your skeleton warriors, which we saw in the live stream. The pictures that I'll show with Craig from the replay of the battle that was shown in the first live stream. So I pulled images from there as well. Skeleton spearmen, we didn't really see them, but I imagine they're just like skeleton warriors, but with spears, obviously. Zombies, you saw there in the picture. The raising from the dead. When you use the raised dead, you either get zombies or skeletons. I don't know if you can choose or if it randomly chooses for you. You have the Grave Guard, which are your mainstay infantry. They're going to be your heavy infantry. Those are the guys that guard the generals. Usually, they're just very heavy duty melee. They will be your main block, whereas your zombies and your skeleton warriors, I feel, will be kind of sort of fodder infantry, things that you can use as a distraction while you get other units into play. And then you have the Grave Guard with great weapons, which I imagine obviously is just upgraded weapons. Your Crypt Ghouls and your Karn Wraiths. The Karn Wraiths are pretty interesting in that nothing can touch them. Not normal axes or swords or spears or arrows. So I want to see how they handle that in the game. If there will be certain, if you can only fight them with magic, if there are only certain units that can take down a Karn Wraith, because if no usual mortal weapons work, how in the heck do you kill it? Moving on to the melee monstrous infantry, the Crypt Horrors are actually Crypt Ghouls. I looked this up. They're Crypt Ghouls who vampires have allowed to feast on their blood, transform them into nasty, disgusting looking creatures, bones sticking out, you know, just festering wounds. It's pretty absolutely nasty. You have your melee monstrous infantry flying unit, which is the Vargheists. The Vargheists, I believe, are they are vampires, as it'll say in the description on the blog. They are vampires that haven't been slain, that have been locked in a crypt or a tomb or you know, what am I trying to think of? A sarcophagus. But the dark magic, tainted water, warpstone tainted water has leaked into them and has twisted them and manipulated them, and when they finally break free, however long later, they are nothing but just beasts and disgusting looking creatures. You saw it, a Vargheist actually at the end of the at the end of the in-engine cinematic trailer. He is the guy that drops down above onto the dwarf. So they're pretty nasty. Melee cavalry, you have the Black Knights and the Black Knights with lances, and then you have the Hex Wraiths. The Hex Wraiths are pictured there, and you will see they are more ethereal. They are more ghost-like. They'll be more green, more of the spirit world than in the mortal world. Be very nice to see them. Along with vehicles, you have a black coach. I really don't know what they're going to do with the black coach. I've watched a couple other guys' videos, and they said maybe it'll be a support unit on the battle, kind of going back and forth and making sure that your infantry don't rout or crumble, which will be an interesting perspective to use as well. Your melee war beasts flying, you have your Fellbats, which were in both of the live streams. They will be pretty fun. They're super quick, they're super effective, but they are very vulnerable to ranged units, so you have to use them carefully. Melee monsters, you have your Vargulf. I've already gone over the Vargulf. It's a vampire that's given in to its animal instincts rather than hang on to the human side. So they are also twisted beasts, very much like the Vargheists. But they can be used as siege units, as you saw in the trailer for the vampire counts as well. And last but not least, you have your melee monster flying, and you have it's called the Terrorgeists. These guys are bats the size of dragons, and they will definitely do some damage. I mean, dragon-sized bats, you can't not do huge amounts of damage. I forgot to add, and I don't know how I missed this, melee war beasts, dire wolves. They are going to be awesome to use. They are excellent against cavalry. They move very quickly, much like the Fellbats. They move quickly. They are pretty dangerous to use, and I will be very excited to see how they work within battles. So overall, I think they have a lot of good units. It'll be an interesting gameplay style without ranged units, but I think you have enough support units between the cav, between your war beasts and your monsters, that you shouldn't have any issues winning battles and using your zombies and skeletons as cannon fodder, as just a way to distract units so you can go in and flank. I imagine if I were to play as them, there would be a lot of flanking going on. We'll just have to see, though, once more stuff comes out. So that will be the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I will keep on top of these videos. Thank you guys for watching. Follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. This is Havoc, and I am out of here. Peace!